Welcome to Untold Secrets of Living Overseas. And I'm so excited for this episode because I have the Dr. T with me. How are you, Dr. T?
I'm fantastic. Thank you so much for having me on.
You're so welcome. Well, you're calling us from Nicaragua. I've always loved saying that word, that country. And to give you a proper introduction, Dr. T is actually a chiropractor by trade, and he's the mind behind his company, A Human Engineer. You can visit ahumanengineer.com. Basically, he's revolutionizing the way we approach health and wellness. So he's using a special groundbreaking technique called TNT, total knowledge technique. He basically applies non-invasive processes to solve health challenges of all kind. I'm actually going to see him for some things. And these are from simple issues to the most complex and persistent conditions. People have literally had miracles by visiting him and having sessions with him because he addresses the body, the mind, and the spirit with the help of angels. And in this episode, we're going to dive deeper into his life abroad, his work, how he's crafted his life, as well as how he's using his gift to heal others. So I hope I did an okay intro. How was that, Dr. T?
You got all the points.
Okay,
Perfect.
good. So
You're
tell
good
us
at this.
about, tell us about you. Like, where do you live? What do you do? And how are you helping people right now?
Well, I do live in Nicaragua now. I've been here about 2 years now. Um, I didn't intend for it to be this way. I always wanted to have a disc golf course, my own disc golf course. I don't leave home without it. Most people leave with American Express, but I leave with a disc, a putter,
So
and a
funny.
driver, and different discs. They go with me everywhere. I have more of these than I have clothes. Um, so I always wanted to have my own disc golf course, and I started looking 15 years or so ago for different countries. I went all over Central America, and I ended up here in Nicaragua on the advice of somebody who I actually helped in a sushi bar in Costa Rica, who invited me to her Christmas party. And when I got to the Christmas party, we started having a long conversation, and I told her what I was looking for and what I wanted to do. She said, "Well, you're in the wrong country. You need to go to Nicaragua." And I was like, "Nicaragua? I mean, I was supposed to come down here and fight back in 1983 in the army against the Sandinistas and help the Contras and all. I didn't even know where the hell it was on a map. I mean, back then." But she was convincing. She was like, "You just aren't going to believe the people. You aren't going to believe the country. Costa Rica. This was, like I said, 15 years ago. She said it's exploded. You should probably just take my advice and go see. Just go see." And I said, "Okay, I'm going to go see." And so that's what I did. The next day on a bus, I went up to the border and crossed into Nicaragua and found a taxi and ended up in San Juan del Sur. And I think it was the next day, I was taking a taxi cab somewhere, and we come up behind this motorcycle, and there's this giant tractor tire on the back of this motorcycle. I'm like, how in the hell is this guy riding a motorcycle with this tractor tire? And then I saw there was two little hands on top of the tractor tire, and we passed the motorcycle, and it was one guy sitting backwards. The motorcycle driver was driving the motorcycle, and there was a guy sitting backwards to him, hanging onto this tire. And I was like, that's it, I'm moving here.
Yeah, the
I grew up
things
on
you
a
see.
I grew up on a farm. I was like, this is impossible. I mean, you can't. I mean, a tractor tire weighs more than you do, and this. I mean, I just couldn't believe. I just was like in shock. I was like, okay, there's something. These people, and it just continued from there. I just kept seeing things where these people are just had this real spirit, real happiness, real joy, and
Wow.
that's what made me end up coming here. Work wise, what I do is I'm a human engineer. I didn't give myself that name. I got that from a client who I worked on 20 years ago, 25 years ago. I was working on him. I'm a hypnotherapist as well. I'm a certified clinical hypnotherapist and a massage therapist. And so I was doing a lot of advanced massage techniques in this guy, and I hypnotized him, plugged him into another land, and we did all this stuff with him. And when we got done, he just sat up and he kind of goes, "You're not going to be a chiropractor. You're going to be a human engineer." And it just stuck. And so it really kind of gave me inspiration to really study everything that's out there, and including all the chiropractic and muscular work and spiritual work, really all of it. And I just through that process, I ended up working with angels, and that's where I'm at today.
Wow.
That
And the
answer your
reason
question.
what no, you definitely did. And the way I got connected to you is quite actually interesting. And because I was having some really serious neck pain. I have a herniated disc in my neck from an injury, and I was actually buying a traction machine in Los Angeles, California, and met the person who sold me the traction machine, which is to pull your discs apart, was Ed Lucas. And he was one of your clients I mean, yeah. So he basically told me that I needed to go see you because he got healed from you, meaning like he had excruciating pain, he was almost paralyzed, and he was like, you need to just go see Dr. T, regardless of whatever you believe in. He's like, just go do it. And I went and saw you. I was having horrible pain. I remember right after my session, my pain went away and I hadn't experienced no pain for about a month. And then I had the second session and it was basically even better. So I know you're healing people, people are having miracles. What do you have to say to that? Like, how are people having miracles just so people who are listening can have a little bit of hope if they've had a recurring condition, a chronic condition that's been prevalent for their whole life? How are you able to help people with that?
Well, first of all, we have to clarify that when you say you came to see me, it was on Zoom like this. I was in Nicaragua and you were I think you're in California. I'm not
Yeah,
even
I'm
sure
in
where you're
California
at.
right
So
now.
yeah. So when you say I came to see me, yeah, you probably found out that yeah, he doesn't see people live anymore. He's only remote, and that's been this way for 20 years now. It's all remote, so it's all based on quantum mechanics. Quantum mechanics. When you look at something, you're collapsing potential into reality. And so with me, with using angels are omnipotent energies. They're God's helpers. They occur in another dimension. I mean, this is what I think, and I basically am asking them to come down and do something to correct physiology, a physiological process, because I have the knowledge of what it is that's gone wrong with you that most doctors won't look at. They just don't have an answer for. It's a herniated disc. Okay, well we're just gonna. Oh, it's a herniated disc. Okay, it's a herniated disc. But why? I mean, the question is why? Why did it herniate? Sure, you had an accident, but a lot of people fall on their head and don't have herniated discs. Happens every day in football. I've been able to do is really figure out what causes a lot of these things, and in doing so, being able to tell angels, hey, she's got this going on in here. Let's get in there and fix that. They do it instantaneously. I mean, Ed was facing, I mean, talk about a miracle. Ed was facing not being unable to work, being unable to support himself, being unable to have food. I mean, he was in really bad shape. And so, when I get the call about you, a couple of herniated discs, I'm like, yeah, this should be no problem, a couple sessions.
Yeah.
Because, Ed was in serious trouble. People I've worked on this morning, some extreme cases, when you're facing, losing your vision, being unable to walk, some of these crazy things, there are reasons for them, and that's kind of where most, our society, our medical people tend to not really look that deep. They have something that covers up. Oh, we're just going to do a surgery. Look at all the failed back surgery, all these failed surgeries, all these replaced knees that are failed, replaced hips that are failed. Why? Well, that's what I put together in this TNT. What you talked about, what I use is that's a technique that I teach people how to use angels to heal others and heal themselves, and to have angels around them in their lives. And so it's really exciting. um, Again, I don't know if I answered your question. I kind of bounced around again, but I'm
Yeah.
trying to be clear about, I'm a remote healer. Basically, I don't like the word healer because it's not me doing the healing. I'm asking angels to come in, but I do have the knowledge, and because I have the knowledge, and I can see and an intention, I care, I want to help you. The angels pay attention to that, and they come in, and they're frequency based. It's a vibrational based technique, and you can modulate angels so that they can change that frequency. Everything is vibrating. Everything is a frequency based in our reality, and so that's how this works.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing. And what I was gonna ask, Because so many things came up, so it's like, oh my gosh, what is my next question? No. How
It's
can
okay.
people, so like what type of clients do you have? And what I want to get into how you've started a business and been able to bring that abroad in a second, but um who are your types of clients? I mean, is it certain types of illnesses? Is it certain types of like, is it just back, spine pain? I mean, what's the array? What's the
It's
range?
everything. It's everything. Usually, it's people who have tried everything, and they'll meet somebody like you. I mean, I have so many stories of people. Yeah, I was in the grocery store line. I was complaining about my paralyzed leg, and the guy in front of me started telling me about this doctor who fixes people from afar. I mean, so how people find me, I don't advertise. I don't have a business card. I don't really tell anybody about myself. I usually just tell people, well, I'm a human engineer, and people, like, oh God, you do all that stuff with computers. Yeah, I do.
Oh,
And they get on to their own lives. And so, it's interesting how people come forth. And again, it's usually people that find me somehow, some way. That's how the universe works. It's manifestation. I like to stay busy. I like new things. I mean, I have some cases that you can't hardly wrap your mind around, that people are suffering like that. And so, these are the people that find me. They have to be open. If they're like, oh, that ain't gonna work, ain't gonna work, it probably won't for you. If you already know everything about healing and life and spirituality and everything, it probably won't work for you, because angels prefer to have somebody who are just open, who are willing to take a chance and just be open and just see what happens. And so I see every kind of condition, everything. I don't treat anything. I don't make a claim that I treat any specific thing. Um, and with animals, it's even more fascinating. I mean, we've just had tremendous results with animals: cats, dogs, hogs, horses, birds, turtles, snakes, you name it. Uh, owls. It works with everything. Not all the time. Nothing works all the time, but we have amazing success with just about every kind of condition and stuff. And there's so much new stuff now. It's not like it used to be. It used to be, my father was a chiropractor, and I watched these people come in with, canes and walkers and walk out with standard old chiropractic cracking and crunching. But humanity has changed, and we've had a lot newer challenges facing us, really in the last 20 years.
yeah. Well, I know.
Electromagnetics, toxins, all of it. We're all super connected now, and we're all figuring it out now. And so the rate of dissemination of information is nothing ever. Humanity's never seen anything like this.
And I also believe that the people that are listening to this were meant to listen to this. And now we're all
Yep,
connected. I mean, that's
yep,
how it works. So
absolutely.
it's awesome. I mean, just talking about, who you're meeting along your journey, right? Like I met Ed. We had a great chat. He was able to give a lot of inspiration to me because I was pretty in the dumps. And it was from that he introduced me to you. And then, worked with you. Things have been changing. Now you wanted to come on my podcast and help the people that I'm helping do this other goal. So I mean, I just think it's so interesting how all of it all works to help people. And that's the other thing I wanted to ask you is how did you, so you've been able to use your gift to start a business. And I'm curious to know, did you start this back in the US or did you start it when you were in Nicaragua? And also tell us, when did you move from the US to Nicaragua?
So my first week in chiropractic, I didn't take my first class until I was 35. My first college class was at age 35. I became a chiropractor at 42. So it doesn't matter how old you are. Most people think they know what they're doing with their life at 35. I had no idea. I mean, I've done so many things. It's insane. It would take us an hour to tell you how many jobs I've had. So I finally had this chiropractor tell me that, I've known you for 6 months. You've had 10 jobs. You figure stuff out, and you just get bored, and you should study healing, because you'll never figure out the human body, the human existence. And he was right, Victor, wherever you're at. He was right. So I go to the school, and I'm taking, like, science course, science class, college algebra, and like English composition, typical college classes. They aren't even science classes yet. And But because I was there taking classes, I could study after school with people who are teaching healing courses. And I took this class. It was a 92-year-old guy teaching this old, I don't remember the name of it, so long ago, but it was interesting. He was looking at different sutures on the head and using muscle testing to tell what was going on. And I walked up to him and I was like, at lunchtime, I walked up, hey, doc, I got a question. He goes, kind of looks at me, he holds his hand up, and then he looks down at his arm, and he touches down here and comes all the way up. His eyes are off in a distance somewhere, and he comes all the way up here and stops, and he puts his hand down, and he goes, okay, what's your question? I said, well, what was that? And he said, oh, I was working on Rosemary. She called me this morning from Kentucky and was having heart murmurs. And I said, oh, yeah, right. You worked on her, and she's in Kentucky. Okay, I'll see you later. And he goes, wait, what was your question? Said, oh, you don't need to worry about my dumb question. I figured it out, and I left. I was just like, holy shit, that guy's crazy. I can't believe, I hope she didn't pay for it, 1 week later, I'm in another class. Here's a guy sitting in the corner, he's doing something with his hands. I'm like, so tell me, are you treating somebody somewhere else? And he said, yeah, don't tell anyone. And it was like a professional course, just don't tell anybody. And I was like, well, what the hell is he? He says, quantum mechanics. You start looking at quantum mechanics, you'll figure it out. I mean, I was like shocked. So I started looking at quantum mechanics. And, there's a lot of books back then talked about, active observation and intention and all these things. And I started putting it together, and I studied a couple other things. I was already a massage therapist, so I was already seeing clients on the side at my house. I'd moved to Los Angeles to go to chiropractic college. This guy came in who was like gray as a ghost. I was like, hey, what's going on? He goes, well, it's my mom. She's dying. I said, what do you mean she's dying? She's in a hospital in Dallas, and they don't think she's going to make it through the night. I gotta go straight to the airport and get on a plane and fly out of here. Back when you could just go to the airport and get on a plane, pay cash and get on a plane. And so I said, well, there's this little thing supposedly we can do that, I don't know, might be able to help her. He said, I'll do anything. So we sat down and I treated her through him. And she got up and walked out of that hospital at 3 o'clock in the morning. She ripped out her hoses. She was supposed to go in for quadruple bypass surgery first thing in the morning. They were looking for a heart, but back then she was too weak. She had 20% oxygen or something, COPD. And so long story short, it was a miracle. He showed back up at my house the next day, pounding on my door. Hey, dude, mom went home. I'm still here. What the hell what did we do? I was like, I don't know. I was still I didn't know. I mean, we just tried. We tried to help her. And I had some insight of what I thought might be going on with her. But everything turned out to be correct, and she kind of traveled the world. She was a world traveler, and she told people all over the world, "You got to call this guy. You got to call this guy." So that started it 25 years ago, and
Wow.
then I just started honing it, getting better at it, and people would come in. I'd say, well, if you get sick at home or anything happens, you just call me, and so I just started having endless miracles of people calling me saying, hey, I don't want to drive through LA traffic today. Can you just do that thing over the phone? And so, probably about 20 years ago is when I decided, okay, I'm going to promote this. So I spent about 4 years developing it and really, really getting it to clear in my mind. And so that's how it all started.
Wow. Now, did you have any prior business knowledge? Because there's a lot of people that are listening that want to maybe take a business abroad. They want to start something so they're really like financially free, their location independent. They can just travel wherever they want.
There's so much out there now. There's so much remote work out there. There's so many places that will hire you now just doing remote work. You can start your own business online now. You can do, there's so many opportunities to do businesses remotely. I mean, I don't suspect a million people are going to be doing what I'm doing. I mean, I do train. I mean, that's my training. I do train this, and most of the people who come through my training are starting right off doing remote work because
Wow.
I show it all. I show everything remotely in my class. We work on people in the class. We bring people on through Zoom and treat them. So I teach you how to do it remotely. And then the other thing I teach is manifestation techniques. We do half the classes how to heal somebody. The other half is just straightforward manifestation techniques. There's so much manifestation techniques out there right now, but if you come from a place of lacking that isn't cleared up, if you're carrying that emotional state of money doesn't grow on trees, young girl, oh, that's cost too much, or oh, you can't afford that. If you have that in your being, in your mind, in your soul, it makes it a lot harder to manifest. So we clean all that stuff up and teach you how to do that. And
How
you know, yeah,
how
it's
important is that for people that want to move abroad? Like, because I see this day in, day out. So many people will comment on my reels and be like, that's me, I'm out, getting out 2025. But like, do they really do it? Sometimes it's just talk. And then there's like a lot of excuses that come up. There's always a reason why I can't
there's
do.
always a reason why to not start driving that bicycle instead of just riding it, right? You have to drive it. You do have to take that step forward and ride it and be the controller. I never thought I would be living abroad, right? I thought, okay, I'm buying this property in Nicaragua. I'm going to have my disc golf course. It's going to be awesome. I'm 5 minute walk to the beach. I'm going to come down here because back then LA still had winters. It would get cold. And I was like, okay, I'm out in the wintertime. I'm going to come down here for 4 or 5 months a year. Well, shoot. I mean, I would go back home and just be depressed looking at freaking Los Angeles, just trash everywhere. That city is destroyed the last 15 years, if you ask me. Unfortunately, I loved Los Angeles. I moved there in '85. I loved the city. I had a great house, great practice, had all these things that I just truly loved about it. And I just watched it go downhill. And then I started seeing more and more things where, you know, these people don't have as much money as we do, but they're way more happier. They're way
Yeah.
happier. They have spirit that is undeniable. They walk into a restaurant and they say, Buenos dias. Who are they saying that to? The whole restaurant, everybody. And everybody says it back. I'm like, gosh, these people stop bugging me when I'm trying to get something to eat. And
Oh,
then you start to go, wait a minute. They're saying good day to everyone. And that's how it is. That's how it is here. And we're losing that in the states so much.
yeah.
Seeing kids holding hands walking to school, seeing um, I mean, I've seen tremendous changes here with cell phones. Of course, before 15 years ago, it was amazing. I mean, it was just amazing, the connection. A lot of that has changed with the cell phones coming in now,
Yeah.
but they still have it, right? You see kids in a mud hole. You've never seen kids have so much fun, and kids just running around. I mean, unfortunately, you can't just let your kid run around anymore in the United States, right? You can't just pull up to a park and go, okay, go have fun. I'll be back in 5 hours.
Right.
Can't do that. And that's sad. I mean, that was my upbringing, but people today, mothers and fathers today, can't do that.
Right. They
They're
have
doing
to
it here.
constantly monitor their child. And there's so
Continue.
much monitoring. I think that's the main thing that I notice because I moved to Spain in 2016. That was one of my major things. I was like, it is so safe out here in Europe. It is in the plazas, in the squares. You've got kids running around. The parents are at the bar having tapas or a coffee or a tea or a cocktail. They're barely paying attention to the kids. If they fall and hurt themselves, they're like, okay, you'll be fine. You're not like super over sheltering the kids. They're just letting them figure it out.
There's so many things that we could talk for hours on this, but
Yeah.
it seems like there's always someone to blame in the United States. Somebody's got to be to blame. Oh shit, I slipped and fell on the floor. Well, this was Oprah's fault. She owns a
Ah,
restaurant chain. I mean it. It's like I saw a guy trip and fall and break his leg in coming out of a restaurant here in Nicaragua. It looked like his wife and maybe his brother was with him. Old guy. He kind of just tripped and face planted, and I know he broke his ankle. What did they do? They picked him up, threw him in the car, and drove off. I mean, I know that restaurant's never going to hear from him, and I know that they're not going to get sued. It's just there's so many little things. There's so many, and they're not just little when you start really noticing all these things. I mean, I have kids show up at my disc golf course all the time, 6, 7, 8 years old, 5, 4, sometimes 2. I mean, I've seen 2-year-olds wandering around, and parents coming at when the sun goes down. Hey, have you seen my kids? Yeah, he's hanging out over here. I mean, it's just a different way of life. It's a different way
wow.
of life.
So
Yeah.
cool. Well, that's cool that you have your disc golf course. So you've got like a couple businesses. You have your disc golf course, you've got your remote healing practice with clients online. Um, how what would you say about the safety? Because I think there's sometimes with Latin America, I mean, actually my community wants to either move to Europe or Latin America, most of them. What would you say about the safety? Because I know the news can kind of like scare people, talking about, Mexico cartels and like all these different just things that really scare people. And people are thought to believe in the US that like if you go outside of the resort area, it's dangerous. What does your life day to day look like? And is it really like what are the dangers? Is it not dangerous at all? Tell me about
It's not dangerous at all. I mean, at all. I mean, certainly living in the United States in Los Angeles, being in a lot of major cities. I mean, I've never been attacked down here. I've never had a single issue down here, not once. Uh, I have been attacked in Austin, Texas. I have been attacked in Los Angeles, minding my own business. I've been screamed at in San Francisco. It's just different. And I've been through Europe, and Europe was pretty safe. I feel, um, but I certainly feel completely safe down here. In Mexico, again, we like to point and say, "Oh, look at that." Where do I stop? Pull up the American news and pull up news in Mexico. Don't get it from an American source. Get it from a local source, and it's just a completely, our country we're not doing well right now. I mean, it
what
has,
was your why?
it's scary.
What was your why, Dr. T, of why you left the US? And how many years ago did you leave again?
Just 2 years now.
Okay,
And
two
so I
years.
come home. I come back to teach these classes. I teach at Omega Institute in Rhinebeck, New York. I teach 2 classes there every summer, and we're going to do another TNT this summer, probably in Prescott, Arizona. So I come back to do the teaching, and then I come back down here. I'm looking to get my permanent residency now. I'm not giving up my citizenship.
Of course.
There's things you miss in the States. I mean, there's things I miss for sure. I mean, you're gonna have times you miss stuff. I don't even speak the language yet. I'm getting there, but I don't even, I don't speak Spanish. I struggle with it, but the people here are very forgiving, and they like it that you try, and they help you out. And it's
Yeah.
so much language is nonverbal anyhow. So I understand. I mean, people always like, oh, people just assume I know how to speak Spanish because
Oh,
I'm reading their minds.
wow.
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm reading their minds, but you just know what's being said. And if you have enough, you can easily move through here without any problem. And disc golf, my disc golf course is free. I don't charge anybody for anything. If people come from the other countries, which I've had people from all over the planet come and play, I always ask them if they'll leave a propina for my caretaker, but I don't charge anything to play, or I brought the discs. I mean, I've paid for all of it. I just want to have fun. People to
Oh,
have
that's
fun.
really cool. I love
Yeah.
that. Well, we're gonna have to check out your disc golf course. We'll put it in the description.
NicaDiscGolf.com. It's on there, and I'm actually building 3 more. I just acquired another property about a half hour from mine. It's all ocean view. It looks over to El Salvador at where Bitcoin City is going to be built. That's right across from this property, and so there's going to be 3 more put in there. Really, hopefully in the next 3 or 4 months.
That's really cool. Wow.
No, it's what I
Now,
do with
can
my money. I don't have much, but what I do with it is build disc golf courses and have
I
fun.
love that. What was your so what because this is probably what a lot of people want to hear about. What was your why for leaving the US? And I'm sure there's a lot of reasons.
Well, there are a lot of reasons, and I think at the end of the day, I'm happier. I'm happier here. I have more joy here. I feel more comfortable here. I feel more free here. There's less regulation. There's less people saying you can't do that. There's less rules. You go to a waterfall here, you can jump into the waterfall and go for a swim right up to it, swim around. You can go anywhere you want to. There's no keep out signs. There's no fence. There's no guardrails. And that's what I prefer, right? I can drive my car on the beach. I can drive into the darn ocean and lose my car if I wanted to. I mean, I'm not going to do that, but there's just you just feel more free here. And after that first, probably the first 2 years, I mean, my suggestion to people is get your business in order, start figuring out a remote business, whether it's a business or you're working remotely. I have a lot of people in my practice who, since COVID all happened, right? A lot of people are working remotely. Figure out how to spend a month somewhere that you think you might like. Just do a month there and see how you feel, and get a sense of it. I mean, I went to Belize for a month. I went to Colombia. I went to Panama, Costa Rica, 3 months, 4 months, Mexico, a couple of months. I mean, I went all over Central America before I met this woman in the sushi bar who I fixed her bed. She came in on crutches and I'm in there by myself. I'm like, please, Lord, I don't want to work right now. Just give me a day off. And of course, she hobbled over on her crutches and she smacked me with one of her crutches and said, anyone sitting here? I said,
Wow.
no. She sat down. She started telling me her car accident story 25 years prior. And I think within 10 minutes, we had her up and running and jumping back and forth inside this sushi bar. I mean, and that's the power of this work. I mean, we do see miracles. You know, even with what was going on with you, you know, we had to deal with some emotional stuff, right? I mean, we all have emotional stuff from our childhoods, from our life experiences, and times when we've gotten injured. Um, that has to be cleared out in order to have, as far as manifesting, as far as your power of intentional manifestation, I think all that has to be cleaned up, cleared out, pushed out, and that's angels do that better than any work I've come across. I've studied a lot of emotional release techniques, including all the hypnosis training I've done. Nothing does it like angels. I mean, that's one of the first things I discovered was I can ask them to clean this up, and then I started defining how it's held in the body, and it's really magical.
Wow. Well, another question I had was, I know you said you feel more joy abroad. I feel the same. I feel like when I moved to Europe, I kind of like deprogrammed from all the crap. And a lot of people realize this when they go and move abroad. 1 month isn't enough because 1 month is kind of like, oh, why is this like that? This isn't like
Yeah,
it's supposed to
exactly.
be.
Why are they selling rice with Coca-Cola?
Yeah.
Just like, what the
Why
hell
are
is
they
that? Yeah, why,
Why is the line like this? It should be
I,
this way. It works so much quicker in the US. We like are still judging a lot the first month. And it's like once 6 months, once a year
yeah,
rolls around, you're really like, oh, I get it now. I see that the way I was raised maybe isn't, or the way my society isn't the best, it's not the best way that my body should be operating even at a
you,
nervous system level.
yeah,
Your
no,
nervous
you
system
nailed
will thank
it.
you later.
Yeah, yeah, no, you nailed it with deprogramming. We are so programmed, and I'm no different. I was too. We're told all this stuff, and not 24/7 news coming at us. And is any of it ever good? It's all fear based. It's all people, deaths. But I mean, it's crazy. It takes some time to deprogram. You nailed it on the nose. It's like we have, we are inundated with propaganda 24/7 from the time we're born until the time we get out of it, and
Right.
can sit back and go, wow, that's crazy. I don't even look at it anymore. My clients tell me, hey, did you hear about this? No, sorry, I don't. I try to stay away from the news, and it's a little, I mean, it's just different, but it's again, I'm more happy. I think I'm more effective in my work. I do way more stuff. I do more meditation. I do more reading. I do more study. I do more investigation here. All the angel stuff that I teach all came into me here on the beach. I just, it's so noisy, in the United States. I mean, I don't want to say too much bad. I mean, I don't want to say bad. I love our country. Just that being out of it and being out of it for a period of time now, it's like, oh, thank you, Lord.
It's like a breath of
Imagine
fresh air.
it's a breath of
So
fresh air.
I know you've done a lot of spiritual work and you've seen a lot of things. And this is I always have this like I don't even know how to phrase it, but I always have these two sides that are saying, "Oh, well, I've seen the Dalai Lama speak in the north of India. I went to his talks that are 10 cents. Here they charge you a lot. If you go to India, it's 10 cents, okay? All the monks are there. I'm sitting next to all the monks. And these people, they're Buddhist. They truly believe that you can be in any situation. And this is what I love about the Buddhist philosophy. You could be in any situation and be fine. You could be in any location. You could be the poorest of the poor. You could be starving in a cave. And somehow these monks know how to not experience they know how to not experience that suffering in a way that normal humans do. So my question for you is, from the Buddhist philosophy, they say that any situation you should be okay with and you should be able to be happy. So my question is, if we're talking about how we weren't happy in the US, and you and I both feel like we have more joy, we have more freedom abroad. Why is that? Why can't we shouldn't we be able to be happy anywhere we live? This, I always come up with this problem in my brain. Like it's a existential problem I have because I had to move back to the US because my dad got really sick and then he passed away. I didn't want to return to the US. So I was kind of with this Buddhist philosophy of like, okay, I can deal with this. I should be able to be happy, that same level of happiness I was in Barcelona. Why can't I have that in LA? And
Well, you're, yeah. Well, you're a mutt. First of all, you're not a Buddhist. You're what ethnicity are you? Probably 15 different ethnicities. So I always, I treat a lot of, when I first started, I treated a lot of people who got injured doing yoga. One of the top yoga teachers in Los Angeles back 20 years ago, whatever it was, knee brace, elbow brace, neck brace. I mean, the guy had all these braces on. I was like, dude, you are not Indian. Stop doing deep yoga. You're a white dude. You're Irish, Italian, German, and a little, something else thrown in there, but you're not Indian. And so, we are susceptible to our society because that's where we're from. And so, being able to be calm minded and that's just going to take a lot of practice to do. And you are inundated 24/7, 24/7. And when I say inundated, I mean subconsciously. So much is subconscious in America. All of our advertisers know that they affect us subconsciously. You can't drive down a single road in Los Angeles without being hit with billboards that have subconscious messages plastered throughout them. I
yeah,
mean,
remember
it's
the got milk,
24/7.
remember got milk in the
Yeah,
night.
yeah, yeah. And it's probably one of the worst foods you can possibly put in your body is the milk that's sold up there. You got milk? Fantastic. I hope not. I have it here. I drink sour milk just about every day. Sour milk. They take milk it out of the cow. They let it sit out in the sun, turns it sour. They put it in the fridge and I drink it the next day, and it's phenomenal. But we don't have that in the States. And now all the raw milk is infected with bird flu. Imagine that. It just it's just when I look at any of the news, it's just comical. I mean, it's kind of shocking. We've just been, it literally is a form of brainwashing, for lack of a better word. And I don't know there isn't really a better word to call it other than influence. We're just totally influenced 24/7. It's hard, was I happy in the United States? Yeah, I was happy. I just feel happier here because I don't have all that. I don't have to look at all that. And are there things here I look and I don't like? Yes, of course there are.
Yeah.
I don't. There's a lot of stuff here, but I was driving down the road yesterday and I saw a guy plowing a field and pulled off the side in his plow and he got off and he jumped onto his horse and I tracked him down. I was like, hey, you want to? He looked like he was upset. And I was like, there's something wrong with it. Maybe I think he wants to sell his tractor. And I stopped and asked him if he wants to sell his tractor, and he does. And so I bought a tractor yesterday for my disc golf course so I can mow my weeds on my new disc golf course. But
What?
that's the kind of stuff that happens here all the time. It's like these funny magical things happen here all the time, and you meet the most incredible people from around the planet here. I'm in a little tiny. I never imagined I would live in a village smaller than the town I grew up in. The town I grew up in was like 1,200 people. I'm in a little village of like 600 people. And they're all fishermen, so they fish all night and they sleep most of the day. I rarely see, I don't see a lot of them. But for some reason, it's a backpacker town, and a lot of backpackers come through, and those are the people that come and play the disc golf course. And so it's just funny, but yeah, I bought a tractor yesterday, and this morning I found the guy who's going to go and pick it up for me. It's an hour away from here, and bring it out to my course and drop it off for me for it's like $100 or something, 3,000 Cordoba, and that's just the kind of thing that happens here, and that just I don't know what to say. It's just like a magical land,
I
and I
almost
know
feel
it's
like
just here.
abroad, and I know we're generalizing, but everywhere outside of the US, I almost feel like is more in the flow. Like it's just things are more in the flow. It's not as planned. And I think that's why when we say your environment can affect your happiness, which, Buddhist philosophy doesn't agree with that. That's what I'm trying to get at. Your environment for a normal everyday human like us, where we're not practicing meditating for 10 hours a day, yes, our environment is going to make us happier because of the people, because of the experiences you're having, because of the emotions of the people because of whatever. That's going to rub off on you and it's going to improve your quality of life.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I have on my website, I have a couple of free recordings. I have Relax to Heal. It's one of my favorite ones. There are a couple of free recordings that people can do. There's a heart resonance technique on there that's free. It's 3 minutes. It's 3 minutes. You know how hard it is to get somebody to do 3 minute recording? It's like, it's crazy. I mean, what do you mean? What do you mean you got, what do you mean I have to? And then other people would be like, well, it's just a brief recording. It's like, yeah, you don't understand the power in spending 3 minutes having compassion and appreciation for yourself. There's huge power in it. It's scientific, it's science. And relax to heal is a way to just let the mind relax for a time. It's similar to meditation, where all these concepts are just floated, that everything in life is easier when you are relaxed, and that's true. Instead, we have people on the horns cutting you off. And I mean, Los Angeles has got so crazy. I was like, okay, I left Los Angeles because of how crazy it was. And Prescott, Arizona is an amazing town. I have nothing bad to say about that town, but it still is part of America. And I just find that I'm happier down here. So
Right. Thank you
there
so
you have
much
it.
for sharing everything. And, how would your last words of wisdom for those on the fence, like what's your final secret for those looking to move abroad in 12 months or less? What do you want to leave them with?
Well, I think that, first of all, life is short. And life is very short. I mean, I'm sorry to hear your father passed. I forgot about that. And my father's gone, and a lot of my friends are gone. I just turned 60.
Wow.
So I only got another 60 years to go. So so
Nice. I love that.
so first of all, it's again, I think I mentioned earlier, like, you want to just ride along in this life, or you want to drive some of it. You want to drive it, you should, if you don't feel like you're driving your life in the United States, I think you should look elsewhere. And there's fear that stops people, and there's different reasons people don't try it. Um, but that's probably one of the only regrets that my father had, that he would tell the story every 2 or 3 weeks that, in 1951, Steve and I we were going to go to California, and my car was all set, and I was done with school. We're going to California. I pull up to his house to pick him up. He says, "Oh gosh, Ronnie, I'm sorry. I can't go. My uncle died last night." And my dad said, "Yep." I turned around, drove right back to the farm, and well, that was it. And anytime he told that story, a little tear would come into his eye, and I just thought, wow. I moved to California in 1985. My brother moved there, I think, in 1980. We loved it. We had a great day. Every time Dad came out, "Oh my God, this California, it's California, the mountains and the ocean and the trees." And he, it was just one of those regrets. And I just think that if you do it and you don't like it, you go back.
Exactly.
You got nothing to lose. You got nothing to lose.
I
And it
totally
really,
agree.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. How can people get in touch with you, Dr. T? I'm going to put also all of this information of how to get in touch with you in the description, but how can people get in touch with you?
A Human Engineer. A is in Adam, humanengineer.com. Everything's on there. There's a couple free recordings on there. There's a lymph video on there that I think is really beneficial for people to have, especially with the flu season coming up. If you plug in your email address, we do a lot of stuff. I try to do a lot of stuff for the community who's involved in the website. We're getting ready to do some holiday treatments. I do a lot of group treatments. Angels don't care if it's 1 or 50 people or 500 or 10,000. So ahumanengineer.com, get on there, plug your email in, get on one of these calls, check out TNT. I'd love to show you how to do this stuff, how to have a closer relationship with angels. The people that I teach how to do this, I get endless emails of like, "Thank you, Lord, thank you for showing me this work and teaching us about this, because it's real." And everybody listening right now has had an angelic experience. Every single person listening to your podcast has had an angelic experience, but they usually just say, "Oh, that was a great coincidence. That car smashed the other one instead of me." And they don't realize that we all have guardian angels. People want to say, "Oh, it's his angels, my angels." They're not my angels. I have my angels, you have your angels, but these are the helpers of God. And so that I call them the beach bums, because I get all my information from the beach, from the angels, And so I think they're the beach bums, not the beach boys, the beach bum angels. They're just waiting for us to ask them for help. So that's how you get a hold of me.
Love it. Well, thank you so, so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to share your experience. And it's on my bucket list to come to Nicaragua. So when I come, well, when we all go, we're going to make sure to write you, contact you,
Please
and
do.
play some disc golf. And you can show us, because you were a professional disc golfer. We didn't even say that.
No, I wasn't. No. I would never claim that.
Okay. Well, I thought you were. You're pretty
Yeah.
close, probably. So you're gonna have to show us some things when we come down there.
Love to. Would love to.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on.